Salvation Stories is a podcast which testifies to God's saving work in the real lives of the church members of St. Rose Community Church. Every believer has a story of how God made them a new creation, and it's our hope that the stories told here will help our church family know one another better and join together in rejoicing over what God has done and is doing in the world by His grace and for His glory. Welcome to Salvation Stories. I'm your host for this episode, Pastor Brandon Langley, and I have with me a good friend and the most recently baptized church member at St. Rose Community Church, Nelson Capote. Good to see you, brother.
What's up, brother? How's it going?
Man, we were just talking about before we jumped on that you are the coolest person I have ever interviewed on the Salvation Stories.
Hey, I don't think you guessed, bro.
I'm just saying, no. You're not that everyone else is just uncool. You're just another level of cool. If there were like Christian superlatives for church members as like most likely to be in a magazine or something, like you would be it, brother. I mean, especially if you're just listening to this and you don't see that this brother's in a room with a black wall behind him, with guitars hanging up and a leather chair. I mean, it's just a whole vibe.
Hey, man, it's a long time coming.
Yeah, man. I think it's important too that Christians should know that Christians can be cool too. You know,
Absolutely, dude. I think that was my realization. You know?
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, that was your realization when you came to St. Rose, right? And you heard me preach.
It.
You said, "Oh my gosh,
that
Christians
guy
can be cool."
That guy is a brother.
Man, just the way that guy rocks his same 5 button downs that he rotates out every Sunday.
That Ralph Lauren is tightly tucked.
All right. And thanks for jumping on. Seriously, it's cool. I know it's probably a little nerve-wracking to jump onto a podcast, Salvation Stories, especially when you're like newer to walking with the Lord. A lot more nerves. The last one I recorded was somebody who'd been a Christian for 10 years. You know, it's just different when it's new. And so I appreciate you stepping out to have the conversation in this format. And no, that's not easy to do. So I appreciate it, man. And I think your story will benefit our church members a lot. So why don't you share with us a little bit your background, church background, what the Lord did and sort of leading you to Himself. Give us a little bit of the journey, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think just like as a foundational thing, I think church in general has always been in my life. I think about my mom came from Cuba and was literally in a country where like having a Bible, going to church, all these different things was like against the law. Like she'd go to jail, you know? And so like, I guess even just starting with her and having that desire in her, she comes to this country, starts a family, all this, and then, yeah, I mean, just as a kid, we did Catholic church, and it was kind of just like your typical thing, I guess, of like Macy puts it in a way of like a cultural Catholic or something, like just kind of like, I guess, the general foundation of what like pop culture might know about religion and like John 3:16, and you're like, you know, like pop culture religion stuff.
So
I feel
mom's from Cuba, dad's from New Orleans?
So yes and no. So yeah, mom's Cuba, born in Cuba, came here when she was 18. My dad, born in America, but everyone, like his parents, born in Cuba, had his brother in Cuba, came here, then had him. So I think like that, I don't know how technically that's full Cuban, if that's Cuban American.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, so
gotcha.
Cuba, right? So
and Catholic together,
and Catholic,
right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a common thing. Just naturally, just Hispanic culture is naturally, I think, just very Catholic. I don't know what the thought process is there, but I think I've just noticed that.
Yeah. Depending on where you're at, but there's definitely a lot of background. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we did the Catholic thing for a little bit. My mom was going to this church not far from our house. I don't know how she stumbled across it. Yeah, I don't know how she stumbled across it, but I mean, we ended up there. I was maybe at this point, it had to have been, I guess it was like late elementary school. So however old you are for that. going to this, and pretty much every Sunday we had your normal like mass type thing, and then Tuesday nights was like the small group like class setting, like classroom setting, where it was, yeah, kind of just talking through. I don't remember any of it if I'm being honest. Um, but we had that, and then pretty much the Tuesday nights I knew I couldn't get out of. The Sunday mornings were a little bit more of like I could find an excuse if I really had it. So it was like Sunday mornings it got to the point to where she was like bribing us with donuts to get over there.
Mm,
And I mean, I think at the end of the day my mom just knew like uh in general having some foundation in Christ is good. Yeah, I don't
yeah.
think she understood that, but I
Yeah, some
think
type of
she.
morality or some type of grounding in
Yeah,
morality would be
right,
good
like,
for her kids. Yeah.
yeah, right, just I guess that Catholicism teaches you to be a good person, so it's like, that sure, for your kids, that's great. So yeah, we did that, and then the donuts, kind of just, bribing us essentially to get o over there. As far as with my dad was kind of like, I think I remember him coming, I guess, on Sunday mornings as a normal occasion thing, and then, it kind of dwindled off. Um, yeah, I mean, I was young, so I don't really remember. I don't know, I guess, reasons as to why, but, I would say my dad kind of slowly kind of fell into the category of, like, the holiday churchgoer, right? Your Easter,
Yeah, of
Christmas, stuff like that.
course.
He was there and then kind of fell out of that, and it was kinda just, like, not going at all. Um Yeah, so then it kind of I guess once my dad stopped going, it was kind of an easy just like, "Oh, like, this is optional." Like, "Oh, we really don't have to do this then," and
Man,
so
that's a huge thing just to even for people listening, the dads make such a difference, man. They what they do or not do, like, it communicates something to the kids for sure. Like, mom can
Sure.
go, but if dad doesn't, then it communicates something different for especially for young
Yeah.
boys, man.
Right, like, his church a girl thing is like,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, so yeah, so it became more and more optional, I guess, as we got older, seeing, like, my family as a unit wasn't going, yeah, so it was an optional thing, and then it pretty much we stopped going entirely. And I guess fast forward a little bit, just not going to any kind of church related thing. In middle school, I got introduced to these guys. They were playing at a church in Gretna, right? So I'm from the West Bank, live on the West Bank. We Macy and I have a house on the West Bank. Pretty much have stayed here. We had a few ventures around that I'll get to, but yeah, West Bank has kind of been our where we've just hunkered down. So met these guys. They were in a church, playing at a church on the West Bank. Young guys, right? We're in middle school. All of us were in middle school, so the expectations weren't super high. But it was an outlet, I guess, towards music. And they one of the guys played guitar. The pastor's son was the drummer. So naturally, it was just kind of like, okay, cool. Like, this is your dad's church. Like, you can get us in there and we can like rehearse and we can play and like this is great. Like,
Yeah.
and we did that. Like we're sitting there playing Nirvana while while this church is shut down. I guess throughout the week we're playing Nirvana, and then on Sundays we're playing whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
Big Daddy Weave and all these other CCM. Um, so yeah, we did that, and then kind of growing up in that church, we had different small group stuff. We had, yeah, I mean, I was pretty much in this church now, and it was like telling my mom, like, hey, like, can you take me to this church? And, I want to meet up with these guys. I want to play with these guys and all this. And at this point, I might have been 13, 14. Mm. And yeah, so my mom was not going to fight me in going to church,
Sure.
so she was like, great, you
This
want to
is
go?
probably
Great.
like a non-denom
Mm,
Baptist church.
Uh, yeah, I mean, not the yeah. I don't really know the terms if I'm being honest.
Yeah, like a contemporary not it's not Catholic, right?
No, right, not
Right,
Catholic
yeah,
at all. And I think
yeah.
that was the big draw towards it was the idea that like it's not Catholic. I can understand what these people are actually saying and
Yeah.
singing and,
A little
like,
more on my level, yeah.
sure, right? And it's like, this sounds more like, uh, I guess, secular music and, like,
Mhm.
the idea of, like, this is more familiar, I guess,
Sure.
rather than just kind of like
And they let you play
people.
music. They weren't letting you rock
Right,
out at the
it's like,
Catholic church.
yeah, right. So, um, yeah, it was just way different in ways that I guess, on the front end seemed really good. Um, and none of it having to really even do with the reason you go to church, you know? So yeah, I mean, we did that. We played music.
And that's through high school years? So started in middle school, went on
This
into high
is
school?
this is through high school. I mean, I was at this church even early, college. I think,
Wow.
like, um, maybe
So, like,
yeah, go ahead.
senior in high school, if someone were to ask you whether you were a Christian or not, I mean, your answer would have been what?
It depends what I was feeling that day, you know? I mean,
Okay.
depends what I was feeling. I mean, I don't to be honest, like, senior in high school, at that point, even attending this church since middle school, I don't even know if I've cracked open a Bible.
Right. Okay.
So, but what would I have said? I mean, I felt some things, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
I've felt good going to this church before. So
Sure.
yeah,
Sure.
this is a good place.
Okay.
What I would have said, I don't know. So yeah, I mean, we did that. We so yeah, senior year, or we get into maybe even early college. I remember COVID. I think by the time COVID came, I was pretty, like, detached from this church. I would say probably early college, I was pretty headstrong into music and pursuing music. And yeah, I did music all through high school and just knew that, like, if I wanted to do music seriously, I had to go into it. So any opportunity I had, I took it, right? Any opportunity to play music, to be just around music, I took it, and naturally it stuck. Like, yeah, it stuck and it stayed with me. And I do think, like, absolutely, that was the Lord kind of working in me from the start. The idea of putting music in my life and taking me along this
Sure.
journey. But yeah, so we get there. At this point, I am playing at two churches. I'm playing at this church. For their Sunday morning, the church on the West Bank, and then I was playing at a church on Airline in Metairie, for Sunday nights. They had, like, a college ministry, and I was playing over
Mhm.
there. And I've skipped a lot in the story, but I guess in between that, right, Macy and I got together, we, ended up living together, or no, we didn't start living together till after COVID. Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, at some point there was a falling off between this church and I, and just in general over time, I saw a lot of just stuff that didn't sit right with me,
Mhm.
at this church, and it was just like, I didn't really have anyone to talk to about it, in a sense, as my best friends were the pastor's kid, and then it
Mm.
says, like, nothing's gonna get done. I'm not gonna go talk to an older couple about my issues with their church. My mom, at this point, got super invested in this church and found her role in this church and all this. Just in general, yeah, not even just knowing now, I guess, that I was not being a temperamental teenager. Like, this church, it was just not.
Well, it's super disorienting. I mean, I don't recommend for any church to have someone playing in the worship team, playing in the worship band, and you really don't know their spiritual state, right? I
Sure.
mean, so it's even disorienting for them, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, I talk to a lot of church planters and pastors and I mean, it's a way to get someone into your church. Just, hey, come play music or, whatever. Like you can
Sure.
get them there, but it's disorienting when there's not an expectation of like, well, tell me about your conversion. Tell me about your faith. It's got to go together. It's a strange thing for it to be disconnected. Um, which is why, at St. Rose, we would always just like, you got to be a church member, which means you've got to have explained your testimony of salvation. You have to be walking with the Lord to stand up and lead other people to
Right.
worship the Lord, because not only for the good of the congregation, like you want saved, sanctified people leading worship, but also for the good of them because it's disorienting when they're participants, but yet not really a part, yet.
Mhm.
Not baptized, born again believers. It's just not the I wouldn't say it's best practice, right?
Sure. Yeah, and I think that very much I felt that, right? And I guess the idea of, like, it was never about church, the idea is, like, I was on this stage and it didn't matter where my heart was. I mean, one of the
Right.
guys was an atheist,
Yeah.
like, fully, like, totally just disagreed with it, but it was or I guess, like, a self-proclaimed atheist, right? I mean, I guess that you could almost say I was as well, but I guess he fully put the thought in and decided, "Yep, like, this
This
is
is what I
not."
am. Yeah.
Yeah,
But he's playing an
um
instrument on a church stage. Yeah.
correct, right, and it wasn't even a paid position. It
Right.
was yeah,
He
yeah.
just likes music.
Hey, I mean, so, I guess leading up to that, right, so this college ministry, at a separate church, yeah, things fell off this church, there was a lot of hypocrisy I felt, and again, like, I being older now, I'm able to kinda look back at it and just be like, "Okay, 1, like, thank the Lord, I'm where I am now. 2, it's like, I know I wasn't being temperamental. Like this was actually like the correct motions and like in
Mhm.
a sense like I needed to get out of that situation.
Mhm.
Um so yeah, left that church. It caused a lot of church hurt. I think just for me, Macy even attended that church for a little bit, just naturally being that I was there. She attended for a little bit. Even she experienced even a little more looser um commitment wise, she still felt a lot of church hurt from that church. And so in general, we both pulled out. It's just it was too messy for us. We just couldn't do it.
So you go through this
Um,
season where there's no church involvement really, right? And, I mean, what's happening in your mind and heart as far as just, like, ultimate things at that point? Are you slipping into where more consciously, I think I may be a little more agnostic or a little bit more atheistic, or I'm just in just sort of this blah world where I'm not really caring about spiritual things?
I didn't think about it,
Yeah.
and maybe this is just like I don't know. I've always kind of thought of myself as like a logical or like I think about a lot, and I guess the idea of just like I will always want to be a couple steps ahead, but at the same time, it's like there's only so much I can control now, and so it's like I think I just looked at that stuff as beyond me. That's beyond me. That's I guess I know for sure my mentality growing up was just like, I don't need to read the Bible. I have no plans of like explaining it to somebody. I don't plan on being a pastor. Like only pastors need to know this stuff. It's like I'm not a teacher who has to read the textbook to explain it to the students. So I was like I had that mentality and I guess the same idea growing up is just like this stuff is beyond me. I don't know. And I think it's really easy to kind of fall into that and just kind of keep going about life, and it was. I mean, I did it, it
Yeah,
was easy,
sure. Yeah, path of
yeah,
least resistance.
right, and I think that that's been one refreshing thing, I guess, hearing you preach, and I'm gassing you up for a second a little bit, but I guess, like, the idea is just, like, this is not the easy route, right? Like, we as a Christian, we're not picking necessarily the easy route, yeah, and I guess coming to terms with that, like, it's worth it in the end,
Mm.
but reel it back. So we're going at this point I was playing at this church very loosely connected. I stopped doing the college ministry. They offered me a paid this is a separate church, the one in Metairie. We were Macy and I were living together in Metairie at this point. Um and I was just playing there. They offered me a paid position to play over there. I was on a W-2 getting paid every Sunday I play. It was great. I mean, it was I this was a second job for me in a way. Um, Good pay, easy songs. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Uh, I'm reminiscing. Oh.
So, yeah, that's not the case, at our
Yeah,
church.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
No, no. So, yeah, it was a paid position, right? So, I mean, it was just like I looked at it almost as just like a job. There was no you left everything or ideally, right? You leave at a job, you leave everything at the door when you walk in and when you walk out.
yep, yep.
And it was that same thought process of just like, yeah, like I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go play music, I'm gonna leave. I don't need to be back on stage at the end of the service, so I'm gonna leave in the middle of the service and just go about my day. Um, got paid, moved on. But again, it was an opportunity to play music. I was in college. It was, yeah. In my mind, it was another paying gig, and
So that's a comfy spot. At some point
absolutely.
at some point, the tide started to turn a little bit. Um,
Right. So
what was that?
it was right before we got married, right? So Macy and we're engaged, we're planning our wedding, we're talking about we had our friend officiate our wedding, yeah, I mean I think that was the main thing. We had our friend officiate the wedding. I'll say that now and it'll make sense in the story, right? And then so we go in, she's working at this coffee shop. Um she's working at this coffee shop, Evolve. We're still very connected to this coffee shop, and she went ahead and had some friends kind of talking to her about just church in general. I think one friend, I don't know if it would necessarily be considered sharing the gospel because they have slightly different beliefs than us, but at least was exposure towards Christ, right? So it was just like there was that, and then there was also a friend of ours that I would say that she was sharing the gospel with her,
Mm,
and that I it was a safe place for Macy to ask questions.
great.
Right, and that was like, okay, it was very interesting for her, kind of just like, "Oh, well, you think this, but what about this?" And it
Mhm.
wasn't like the friend foundation was there first, I guess, to where it was just like, it doesn't matter if we disagree right now, it's just like we're just talking, we're debating
Yeah,
about it in a
yeah.
sense. So that comfortable space was created, I guess, where she was able to kind of ask questions and just like, in a sense, disagree and find answers that she found comfort in. Um so yeah, I guess that Macy kind of started getting these little moments of thought, I guess, of where she felt in this whole uh walk, right? And the idea, like, I remember being on a road trip and there was if I tell this story wrong, she's gonna correct me later. But we were on this we were on this road trip, I think, and she was asking me, it was just like, is I don't like, she asked me something, I guess, regarding like my thought, like, she basically told me that they had this I'm blanking. Hold on. She told me that they all right, hold on, let me turn this off real quick. All right. She told me basically that she's been having these thoughts, and I think while we were on this road trip, she there was something that kind of like triggered that thought in her again. Maybe it was like big crosses as we were driving or something kind of random, and she kind of asked me just like what my thoughts on this was. And I told her, I was just like, it's just coincidence. Like you're getting in your head. And naturally I think yeah, I mean yeah, that was not the right thing to tell her. But yeah, you're just um so
So
yeah.
she starts basically feeling a little uncomfortable with where y'all
Yeah.
were at spiritually before you did,
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it
which
was it
is
was
a tough thing.
just before we got married. I mean, so that
Yeah,
was the really scary thing of like, okay, like, is she gonna call off the wedding? Like, is
right.
it like what's gonna happen here? So
Yeah,
it's really scary. And in thinking back, I mean, the fear didn't necessarily turn me to God yet,
right.
at least yet. But it's
Yeah,
like, hey, like that was really scary. I almost like didn't marry my. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
um,
And I just this is crazy because I'm on the other side of this. I didn't know you, I didn't know Macy, but Macy knew my wife
mhm.
because my wife was a teacher and had taught Macy years ago. And I remember my wife telling me, "Yeah, Macy is really wanting to follow the Lord,
I
and
think they
his
met
things
for
have
a walk.
changed." Yeah, yeah. But she's engaged to this dude that doesn't. And we don't know, and so it's interesting to hear from your perspective, knowing how my wife was trying to counsel her and talk with her and just get her to think through things, and you're on
Sure.
the other side scared.
Yeah, I mean, and it was like, naturally, I don't think I get scared. It is not necessarily me trying to be macho or whatever. Like, I think I just how my mind works. I'm not a super high anxiety person, so like I'm just kind of like I thought about it, it lingered for a little bit, and then, like, I moved on. But absolutely, like, that thought did cross my mind, and, let's see, where are we now? So pretty much, like, we're kind of having this wrestling, and I mean, throughout, she starts going to St. Rose, and, I think I attended a handful of times, not many at all. I was still playing at this other church, which in my mind, paid opportunity, so it's just like, "Look, can't come to church with you this Sunday. I gotta go play over here, whatever." Same deal. It's like if I didn't feel like going, "No, it's why don't you go ahead and go today?" I'm gonna stay home. And it eventually got to the point I was trying to get out of it every Sunday. Yeah, natural, right? I mean, that's what I did when I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
consistent, consistent.
Yeah, that's one thing I am. So we get to the point, I think we were talking about it one night before bed, and I remember, like, she seriously wanted to just know where my head was at, and not trying to make any kind of, like, there was no, like, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but I guess there was
No,
no need for me to be defensive, right? It
sure.
was just kinda like,
Let's talk about this. Yeah.
"Let's just talk about it," right? I'm not trying to change your mind, just tell me where your mind's at,
Mm.
and I remember, like, fully sobbing to her. I was just like, "Look, like, our life is so good right now, like, why are we like, why make a change? Like, our life is
Mm.
so good right now. We're about to get married. We're about to, like, why?" Essentially just, like, asking her
Yeah.
why. Yeah, I don't remember what she said.
Why bring this other man into the relationship, this
Yeah,
Jesus guy,
right,
you know? We got a good thing going.
and it was and it was a lot, I guess, also, like, she did a full change, like, for a while, she's trying to get into, like, yoga, and I guess naturally yoga comes with all kind of other stuff, and, like, and like, I remember her, like, throwing away all kind of books, throwing away all kind of, like, just random stuff in the house. Yeah, and so it was just, like, anything, like, I remember it. Yeah, it was a lot,
It's
I
gonna be
guess,
cool to do her salvation story,
oh, dude.
after this and hear from her perspective as she's going through all this and throwing away books and trying to have that
Yeah,
conversation.
absolutely.
Yeah. And
I'm
God's
very
working in her in a
interested.
whole 'nother kinda way.
Yeah, I've actually told her, so, Drew had me write out my testimony as we were going through membership and, like, sat down, like, um I'm consistent, but I'm also a procrastinator. So at knowing I was gonna meet with him later that Tuesday, I'm sitting up at 3 AM typing out my testimony, getting ready to meet up. But I think actually just naturally 3 AM, no other thoughts, no other distractions, like fully just able to just write it all out. It was actually really refreshing to kind of see this journey and, like, come to so many realizations. One of those being, yeah, church has always been in my life, all this and this.
Mm.
And I've encouraged her to do the same of, like, just write it out. Just try, like, no structure at all, just write it out. And, I don't know if that thought went anywhere,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Give
so
it's good. Give glory to God. I mean, that's what
absolutely.
some of the Bible is people just writing out. I mean, the
Sure.
Psalms and, just praising the Lord for the things He's delivered people from. So,
Yeah. So we had that night, yeah, before bed, just and I'm sobbing, and I'm just like, I don't want to make this change. I don't want to change anything. It's just so intimidating. There's so much that comes with it. It's not just saying, okay, I'm a Christian now and that's it. It's like, now I got to go to church. Now I got people texting me. I got people trying to call me. Like, it's not just like,
strings attached.
yeah, and it's just, man, that's scary. um, or at least it was, it's like now I'm slowly finding more comfort with it, but it's like, like, I was on the phone with Drew for the first time, since me and Drew are tight, and, like, we finally had a phone call the other day, it's like phone calls are terrifying for me. Mm, so yeah, I mean, we have this moment kind of just figuring out what we're doing, and I remember, we're leading up to the wedding, and we're kind of like, she's talking about, like, we need to change our wedding. I don't wanna have our friend officiate it. Look, let's get a pastor to officiate it. Like, I want this just doesn't feel right. I wanna I wanna change the script. I wanna put a Bible verse here. I wanna do, in my mind, I'm kinda just rolling my eyes. I'm like, "Ah, we did so much." did so much planning, and now it's like to rewrite everything. It's just like, oh, like what are we doing? Like, what is
Mm,
going on? Like how big of a issue? Like how hard is this on your heart to feel the need to totally rescript your entire wedding?
right.
So I think just seeing throughout her life how much she was struggling with the fact that this was not something in my life, which I really wanted it to be just like, okay, you do your thing, I do my thing. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
ideally, that's not right, like
Yeah, I
that's
mean, it's
not what a
hard too.
husband that's not
It's
what a
not
husband and wife do,
it doesn't work.
like no.
It doesn't practically work, yeah.
No, and yeah,
So she
I
starts so at some point, she starts getting really involved in church. She gets
mhm.
baptized at our church. I think you came, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then more consistently started to come, and, the whole time at the beginning, there was this sense, even when I talked with you briefly, there's this sense that it's clear you love her, right? So you're there for her at first, you
Yeah.
know, for the most part. Some
Yeah.
things start to shift though, along the way.
So things do shift, right? So we get married. Trying to think what like the first like push in my like we get married. Things don't change immediately. It's okay. So I guess as that same friend that she was had opened up to about her beliefs, and it was that friend was sharing the gospel with her, what she was able to go ahead and that's how she got connected at St. Rose and all this. So naturally, I guess we actually were talking about this the other day. But the idea that like we kind of fell into a pocket that was very easy at church, like at least for me, the idea is like I didn't want to talk to anybody, but we at least had that one friend and her husband that like, okay, like we can at least like, you know, Brandon's done. Great. Okay, we get up. Okay, we talk to y'all, and then it's at least better that we did that than rather than just run out the door. So it's like we fell into that hole where that was super easy, and that was the thing to do. And man, I'm trying to think like what was the first big stride.
Well,
Um,
it was that couple
mhm.
decided they were going to go on the church plant that we were sending. And then at some point, you guys had to make a decision whether you were
That
going to
man,
stay with us
you know it better than I do.
or
So
you're gonna go on to that church plant, right? I mean, and
absolutely.
so yeah, so that's a big thing because 'cause you're just kinda coming and you've got that one friend you can kinda latch onto, and now all of a sudden
Mhm.
they're getting sent off to another church 20 minutes down the road,
Sure.
and so you're gonna be left standing there alone at our church or, branch
Right.
out a little bit.
And okay, I needed that. Thank you.
No, you're good.
So Macy was supposed to be on that church plant team as well, and I remember her. We were talking about it one day in the car. I think at this point I was pretty consistent, not even intentionally consistent, but it was like I stopped trying to fight her in going to church. It was just like, okay, like we'll go to church. Um, and she was supposed to be on that team, and I was part of me was just kind of like, oh, this is great. Like we get to go and we get to go and we're closer. Like and like I guess keeping that little peace in mind, right? The idea that like now this was a part of my life. Now it's like, okay, well, now we are not driving to St. Rose. Like now we're just driving to Metairie. Like that's not as bad for us. Again, keep in mind we're on the West Bank. So about I guess it's really honestly 20 to 30 minutes regardless for us. But yeah, so it's just that thought in mind that like it was now a we thing. It wasn't just like, okay, well that's good for you. It was now a we thing, and now it's just like I think realizing how much of things that were I wanted to be a her thing now is becoming a we thing. And I think that's natural in marriage, but I think specifically as something I was so actively trying to avoid. And yeah, I mean, I think that just goes to show just like a hard heart gets softened, and
Yeah,
like it slowly opens up to just like, okay, this is now a us thing. This is something we
yeah,
do.
yeah.
And so yeah, and I think just having that, and I remember having a talk with her on the car ride after church back home, and she was just very conflicted, and I was just like, like maybe our time at St. Rose isn't done. Again, our time at St. Rose isn't done, and I was just like, in my mind, one, I'm just like, I'm being a good husband right now. This is cool. Like, but like also it's like I'm talking in plural. Like this is us, this is we, this is not
Yeah.
just you. And I think again, just slowly those little moments of realizing like that it's a we thing and it's a us thing. It's like that really like sat with me. And so we make the decision to
It
stay at
just
St.
reminds
Rose.
me of the
Yeah.
scene in The Grinch where he's, like, crying and he's like, "I'm leaking." He's, like, surprised that he's, like, involved in
Yeah.
this, you know?
I look, man, I have never been a big emotion guy, so it's like feeling all these things and not knowing what to do with it.
"Am
And
I a
it
part of this?" Oh,
yeah.
that's great.
Um, so yeah, man, we have all these little moments here and there, and then we end up getting launched. I guess at this point now it's just like, oh well, Macy, why didn't you do this church plant thing? And so now questions start getting asked. Now my name's coming up even more. Like, oh well, Nelson felt like it'd be better for us to say, like, I guess me making that decision, I guess as a husband and supposing to be the
Mhm.
leader of the marriage,
Yep.
right? Like making that call and saying, "We're gonna stay at this church." That was big for her, and okay, we're rolling with it. And I respect that so much. It's just, like that's any man's dream. It's just your wife, just
Yeah,
hey,
praise the Lord.
that's it. Um, so where are we going? So yes, questions start getting asked. My name comes up more. Nelson felt like it'd be better for us to stay at St. Rose. So okay, well, where's Nelson at? What's going on? Let's do this. So now it's like, okay, now this is very much this is now no longer a we thing. This is a Nelson thing, and that's really scary. But no, so
So
people
at
want
some point during that time, did Drew approach you about, like, "Hey, let's meet and talk about the Bible,"
at
or
some
how did
point,
that happen?
yeah, at some point, Drew did text me, or I think Macy gave him my number, whatever it is, and Drew, we talked and pretty much decided to meet up. And I knew what the conversation was going to be. Like I knew that this was going to be a whole thing of now, um, yeah, like what's going on? Like
Yeah.
I
What do you
knew
believe?
I
What are you
knew that
doing
was
here?
coming,
Yeah.
and
It's not like, "Hey, let's jam out and play
yeah,
some music."
right. And Drew's just such a like he's such like the way I always say it to Macy is like I love how human Drew allows himself to be. And
Amen.
I'm telling you, dude. So that's what it was. 100%. Absolute side note, I just started getting the journaling and I wanted to try and just to try. I feel like I have such terrible memory, but like to try and memorize stuff more. So I wish I was into journaling at this time to like fully remember what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had. But I remember Drew preached, or so we met. Let me backtrack. I'm skipping parts. Drew and I met, we talked, and he told me his background. I told him my background. I knew where the conversation was going. I still had a hard heart about it. Just like, I'm like, okay, like this guy wants to meet up with me. I know he's going to try and convert me. Like this is going to be a whole thing. And
You're
I'm
like
going
the
to,
pretty girl at school that knows she's getting courted for prom, you know?
man,
Yeah. I know where he's going.
I know it.
Uh,
It's like, okay, we're talking about music for so long, and then now I'm just waiting for the question.
yeah.
I knew where it was all going, and I guess part of it again, just slowly softening. I was still open to meeting with him. Just reflecting on everything. I was still open to meeting with him, and yeah, man. So we had that conversation. It ended well. I remember like when it all started, like I think I just shook Drew's hand, just like said, "Hey, like you're about to buy me this meal, thanks. Like we're gonna talk." And then like by the end of it, we had a solid hug. Like
Yeah. Yeah,
just
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
show
Yeah.
where that conversation went, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was like, okay, Drew's a brother now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember on the other side again, so I'm on the other side receiving text messages from Drew in sort of like our pastors group chat. Just had a meeting with Nelson. It was awesome. It was
Wow.
great. Pray for us. His heart's softening. I can see it. Pray, and then he'd meet again. And like, man, we dug in the Bible this time, and he's taking notes, and it's awesome. Please
Mm.
pray. And it just kept on. like going on and on and on. And we would be like, all
Sure.
right, man, praying. Like, and every time he's leaving encouraged, but it's like, he'd be like, he's close, but I don't know if he's there yet, you know?
Wow.
Like, so yeah, man, he was praying hard
Sure.
and courting you for Jesus big time.
Yeah. So yeah, he there was not long after that he preached, and it was just like I remember feeling so like I don't know what's the word, dude. It was like it was just so I guess like encouraged, and like I guess realizing I feel encouraged in a way that I never felt encouraged before. And I don't want to make it like a feeling thing because it's
Sure.
I don't really love when it's a feeling thing, But in
Yeah.
like or at least in the past, right, church was a feeling thing for me, and I didn't like that. And
Yeah.
so
Well, this is not a feeling because they strung the right C chord and had the purple
sure.
lights come on. It's different when it's truth that's striking
Yeah,
differently, you know?
absolutely. And I think, just hearing him talk, I was just like, "Okay, like, this was super, like" I don't know what it out of it I needed and got, but, I needed that, Like, I don't even I wish I could remember what he preached on, but whatever it was how it was delivered that where I was just like, "This is different than previous churches that I've been at." And so I think that softening things some more, yeah. And so from there, I don't know, I just slowly got more and more just interested in this, and, I watched Macy and I watched this movie, Jesus Revolution. Have you seen
Mhm.
it?
I have not seen it. Mm.
Dude, this movie so it's about the hippies, right? They come to
Yeah, I feel
Christ,
like you could star in it, actually.
I would love to. So, right, they're doing all these drugs and they're like, "Oh, none of this is the high that we want." And then like by the end of the
Mm.
movie, as cheesy as it sounds, like the best
Sure.
high is Jesus, right?
Right,
And so it's
right.
like um yeah, so it kind of follows the story of just like they're letting these people that are so outcasted and like right church people are so Sunday best and so clean
Yeah, yeah,
cut
yeah.
and all this and this, and then there's these hippies that are barefoot and getting the carpets dirty and like they smell and all this, and like I think it's just like that was such a beautiful picture to me of just like it's not about being perfect.
Mm.
And that was so heavy hitting. I don't even know if I cried, but I remember I was definitely trying to hold it back if I was about
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah.
It was just like that was it hit. It was just like because with these other churches I felt so outcasted.
Mhm.
And like with St. Rose, it was a weird thing. It was like everyone was asking about me. Everyone was talking about me. It was
Yeah.
weird. Everyone is actually interested in what I'm like, where's Nelson at? What's Nelson up to? What's Nelson doing? And it was just like, okay, it was scary, but it was nice.
Yeah,
It
right.
was a new realization that like, okay, this is a real church,
Yeah.
you know?
It's a like a weird balance because, I think a healthy church should make non-Christians feel both welcome
Mhm.
and like they don't fit in at the same time.
Sure.
It's like you want non-believers to walk in and be like, "Man, these people, I am not like them. Like they are different than me, but they love me and want me around," you know?
Yeah.
And it's like the churches that swing the pendulum too far, the one way is like they make everyone feel like an outcast and like are rejected. But then you swing the pendulum the other way and it's like they make everyone feel so welcome that you don't actually have to be different. It's just like, you know, it's fine. We're all fine, and that's not what you want either. So it's like
Sure.
this weird hybrid of feel really loved and welcome, but I'm not really one of you yet. You know what
Right.
I mean? There's that distinction, and that's a
Yeah.
hard line to walk, I think.
And that I think that's the super scary thing of like like I don't want to stick out like a sore thumb, and that whole thing. And it's like, well, everyone is asking questions and all this. And so it's like, I feel like I am, but at the same time, that's nice that they're asking about me. That's kind of
Yeah, that's
refreshing.
right.
That's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, so where are we at? So Drew does this thing. He preaches, and I was just like, wow. Oh, Jesus Revolution. That's where we are. And I felt so just like that movie hit so hard for me, and just like a realization of like this is what church should be. And then I think also just seeing kind of like the culture of St. Rose, like I saw a little bit of that there. The idea of just like this is it's welcoming. It's, or yeah, it's just like we are. You can be clean cut. You can be a smelly hippie. You can be whatever, and
Yeah.
like
Just real.
it's real. That's the
Yeah.
word. It's like
Yeah.
it is very real, and it doesn't even really matter in a sense about your. I don't want to say it matter about you because it does, or where your heart's at. But I guess in a sense, it's like no one's there for you.
Yeah.
We're
Right.
all there, to worship and for Christ and all this. And so it's like, yeah. So that same week we watched another movie, A Case for Christ.
Oh, cool.
Seen that one?
I have not seen it, but I've read
Man,
some of the book. The case of I've probably
sure.
read the whole book in years
Okay.
past, but yeah.
Gotcha. I'm a movie guy. I can't read.
Okay.
So, um, pretty much we watched that movie and the whole premise, right? The husband's trying to pretty much disprove the Bible to his wife that just found the Bible, or just found Christ, and is now going to church, and he hates everything about it, and it sounds familiar, right? And it's like everything about it was just like, whoa, like
Mm,
this is literally my life. This is literally like, up until the point to where he's just like, I cannot debunk this.
mm,
He's like, I have literally looked at every source, and I've talked to historians, I've talked to whoever, and I cannot debunk this. So it's like the same thought process of like, I like to think I'm super logical and, all this and this and this. And it's like, I can't prove this wrong.
mm.
Did I do the work? No, Lee Strobel did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, it was just like, okay, like Jesus is real. Like
Yeah.
at some, however you digest that, at least now the premise that Jesus is real is in my head. And it's just like that was super scary and weird and interesting. And yeah, again, I guess the whole premise with his wife, and he's trying to debunk his wife. You see how much it affects his wife. This gets me reflecting, like, is
Mm,
how much in distress is my wife, and like all these things I'm wrestling with now. Now this is very much a Nelson thing, right?
mm,
This is something we're really wrestling with and figuring out. And I think it was just like almost just kind of like a quick switch in my mind of just like, I'm not gonna fight this anymore. I don't think it wasn't fully like, close my eyes, get on my knees, and give it all to God, but it was just like, I'm not gonna fight this anymore.
yeah. I'm just gonna listen and
Yes,
see what happens.
what happens, happens.
Yeah.
And I think it was just a continuing thing of just, like, noticing all these different little things, right? How hard these movies hit me, how, everything that about church was now a we thing and not just a Macy thing.
Mm,
We had got lunch with some friends before. We got to lunch with some friends, and uh, the wife, our friend's wife, she had asked pretty, like, like what made you want to stay at St. Rose? Like, why didn't you go to why didn't you end up going on the church plant? And I like I just said whatever felt natural, just spit something out and move on. I was just like, I liked it, like, what made you stay at St. Rose? I liked it.
mm,
Conversation moved on. She kinda laughed it off and moved on. Later that day, Macy, she's like, "That was kinda rude. Like, why did you d like, why didn't you didn't give her a real answer? Like, why'd you
mm,
kind of just," and, like, in my mind, I was just like, "I don't know. Like, I didn't know what
mhm.
to say. I didn't know what to
Just
talk
wanted
about."
out of that conversation.
Yeah, I don't know, but reflecting on that, it was like, I just said I like church. I just said, I
Mm,
like doing this. So now this is not just a Macy thing. This is not just a Nelson thing. This is a we thing that both parties now actually enjoy. And I think having that realization is just like, okay,
mm.
yeah. So I think it was like,
And you're still meeting with Drew during all this time, reading the
yeah,
Bible, kinda doing all the thing.
kind of we were going through John. I was like, look, I don't really know the Bible. I don't know any of this. Like, what is the best place to start in the Bible? Before I'm sure you know where we started, but what would be your answer to that?
My answer? Yeah, I think John's a great place to start.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
So we
Yeah.
did John, right?
Yeah, yeah,
John,
yeah,
yeah.
that's the natural. natural
Is it the
spark.
natural? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
I just took Drew's word.
Drew's
Um,
Drew's smart. He
he
knows
is.
things.
He's a good guy. Um,
So
so
somewhere at some point though, okay, so all these realizations are happening. Like, at what point do you actually message Drew or just say out loud to Macy, like, "I'm ready to be baptized. Like, I'm a believer. Like, I believe these things."
we were on a walk, right? So
Okay.
we were walking, and Macy was just like, "Look, like I couldn't help but notice." She didn't say it like this, but yeah, I notice all these things. You seem to be more open minded. You seem to be almost trying in a sense, and like where's your head at? It's the same. It makes me think the same conversation we had where I'm sobbing in bed. It was just like, where's your mind at? A very open discussion, and I was like, just like, yeah, this, yeah, I'm a believer. It was just kind of like I was just like, yeah, we're doing it
Yeah.
together now. We're doing, yeah,
Yeah, I'm there.
yeah.
I'm there.
I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't know what to do. I didn't. Just kind of like, yeah, And she's like,
Uh,
"Whoa!" Like she's like, "This is a big deal. Like we have to talk about this." And I was just like, no, no, we don't. You know, We're there." you know. And I mean, I think that saying it out loud, "I am a believer," like that, what that meant to me, uh, in that moment was huge, right? The idea of just like I had never said that before. I don't know what. I
yeah.
mean, I know what it means, but like it's
Yeah.
like what everything that I have fought against and like didn't want in my life, I am now like openly just saying I want it in my life.
Mm.
And it's just
It's
like
humbling too, you know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like it is a denying of self,
Yeah, it is, right.
and yeah. And so I remember so we had that conversation. She's over the I mean, she's so pumped, right? Like she's like, "This is great." I think she probably texted her friends that night. Nelson's a believer now. This is great. And I think that Sunday, she was like "Hey Brandon, I think Nelson has something he wants to tell you."
I remember that.
And I was just like, "Are you kidding me?" And
I remember that.
dude, and what you said sticks, right? So that day you said, I don't have good memory, but this one stuck. The idea that like that's great, good job, awesome, but a believer by its fruits. And if it correct me if I
Mhm,
misparaphrased, but
mhm.
I want to say that's kind of where the line is like, okay, fruit like that, that
Yeah.
that's
I'm
okay,
sure I said it gracious, but,
absolutely,
something along the lines of, yeah. I mean, a pastor I deeply respect, he'll often say, "Yeah, hey, man, that's awesome, we'll see." And it's
sure,
like, "Wait a minute, what do you mean, we'll see?" It's like, well, I mean, salvation's a miracle. By his grace, you're born again, and so we'll see if you're crawling and, eventually
sure,
walking and maybe jogging, and it's just proof of life.
yeah,
And I think we've seen that proof. I think we've seen it big time over the last few months, so
sure.
it's been a blessing.
Yeah, so that same image that you're talking about of like walking, crawling, jogging, all that, like I remember Drew putting it in a way that was just like, uh, I think once I had told Drew like, yeah, like I'm a believer in this, like I want to go through membership and all this. He kind of he was just like, it's okay if you don't feel like you know a lot. It's like it's if you think about it, you're like a couple weeks old. Like you're a literal child. Like I don't know how long Drew's been in the game, but yeah, I'm like a little 12-year-old. It's
Yeah,
like
right. Yeah, it takes
you're
time.
not. It takes time, right? And like I guess the expectation. I was so overwhelmed with the idea of just like I'm so new to this. I'm the new guy. I don't know
Mhm,
anything. I don't like
mhm.
and so I guess in that sense, it was refreshing to go through things with Drew and have just such an uh open discussion about things that like he might have thought is common sense, but it was just like I have no idea what this is. Like
Yeah,
I
praise
remember there
God.
was a certain word I don't remember what the word was, but there was a certain word, big word, can't even pronounce it. He struggled to pronounce it.
Propitiate
Nah, it
propitiation?
wasn't that
No?
one. It
Oh,
was
okay.
yeah, it may have been. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I literally challenged him. I was like, use it in a sentence. Like use it in a sentence outside of like a religious thing, like
Right,
try and
right.
like, oh, dude, I remember. So something about like a judge, basically like taking the place, like I guess Jesus took our place for
Mhm.
our sins, and so like there's a word that goes along with that, and it was that word,
Sure.
whatever that
Yeah,
word
yeah.
was.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so I'm just like using a sentence, like not even like in a like challenging way. I was just like, I don't understand the word. Like use it in
I
context, I
mean,
would
but
understand it.
that's discipleship, man. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
where it's at. That's what we're called to do.
And like the
Um,
idea, I like the fact that Drew was able to be so patient with me, and just so
mhm.
like it was like, hey, you're not a complete idiot, but
Yeah.
a little bit. It's like like
As we all are.
yeah, and that
Different
again,
degrees.
Drew is so like open to just being human,
Yeah, that's right.
and I admire that. I love that about him. And
Well, this is what we're gonna have to do because I've got uh in 4 minutes, my wife is picking me up to go do family pictures with her family for Thanksgiving and Christmas.
didn't you
So
just do
here we are.
pictures?
I feel like I did. I don't know. I just say yes, ma'am, to this, and so that's
Sure.
what's about to happen. So we're gonna have to bring this to a conclusion.
Yeah.
Although I could talk for another 30 minutes to an hour with you, this is what I want. First, I want to note a couple things. Man, your story's awesome. It's a blessing. I love seeing the Lord work in your life. I think that listeners need to hear that it took a lot of touch points. Like, I mean, somebody shared the gospel with Macy. Somebody walked with Macy as she was thinking through, marriage. Somebody invited them to church. You had a couple that were befriended you while you were there at church. I mean, there's just all these touch points. There's a couple movies that get watched. Somebody put all this work into that. Drew offers to read the Bible with you. I mean, there's all these touch points that are contributing to the story. All these acts of providence. But one of the big things that sticks out with your story is that basically what you were hearing about the gospel was being confirmed in what you were seeing in the Christian community. So it was like, I see these things in the Christian community and I like it. I enjoy it. That's not the same thing as me saying Jesus is real. Like this is real, right? You can say I like it and it still be
Sure.
fake, you know?
Sure.
But if you'd have said, hey, I think Jesus is real, but then the community didn't match up, it would have been tough, right? But
Mhm.
but both things were sort of like affirming one another at the same time. Which is just what the Lord does. I mean, that's why the church is important, right? It confirms the gospel truth that we're hearing with the people that we're seeing like around us who are welcoming us and caring about us like Christ. And so praise the Lord for that. I mean, that's what we're hoping happens every Sunday, that people are strolling in, they're hearing the truth, but then they're also like experiencing the truth in the people around them, which
Mhm.
is like incredible. Um, and so if you're listening to this, just be encouraged. Like those little touch points that you think aren't doing anything, they are doing something. And if you're new to the faith, like recognize it's a journey for everybody. Like we're
Absolutely.
all starting
Yeah.
somewhere, we're all going somewhere. And so, man, I just appreciate it. I'm excited to see you continue to grow. It was a joy to see you get baptized at our church. But I want to conclude with you, and this is the part that you probably were the most nervous about. But just
Sure.
in a minute,
Yeah.
share the gospel with the people who are listening, and then we'll bring this thing to a close.
Yeah. I mean, so the gospel is the idea that God sent his son down, and essentially showed us what a perfect life is. And I mean, yeah, he died the life, or he died the death we deserve to die as sinners, and essentially like through that, like we're covered, through what Christ has done for us, so it's like, yeah, I mean, everything. I may be going over my minute, but the idea of just like my wife started feeling convicted over everything, even like running a red light, speeding, stuff like that, so it's like, not to say you shouldn't do, or not to say you should do that, but, like, repent,
Yeah,
and Christ is there, it's like,
amen.
yeah,
I mean, just things started to change, right? I mean,
absolutely.
when you accept the free gift of grace of Him dying for you, living for you,
Yeah,
it's not that you got to go earn anything,
that's a good way to put it, free gift
but
of
all of a
grace,
sudden
yeah.
now you actually want to please the one who died for you. And that's
Yeah,
what Macy started to experience, which started disrupting your world a little bit.
yeah.
And that's what you're now experiencing. I mean, praise the Lord, man. I appreciate you. Man, you're fun to do a podcast with. I've joked around with, I don't know if you know Wesley Daniel, that we
Yeah.
should do a separate podcast just called Riffin' for Righteousness, you know?
Okay.
So maybe we'll pop that back up and that idea, and we'll pursue it, and we'll do, the 3 hour long ones.
Let's talk about it. Yeah. Yeah, I could talk, man.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you.
Of
And
course, brother.
if you're listening to this, man, take a moment, pause, pray for Nelson, pray for Macy, pray as he just continues to pursue the Lord. The next couple of years are going to be awesome. Lots of growth in the future. And who knows? We might be on the podcast in the future talking to somebody who Nelson has led to the Lord
Mm.
through his witness. And so looking forward to that day, brother. I appreciate you, man.
All right, brother.
All right. See ya.
Peace.